breaking news, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, Inoue, he came out crowning Crawford as the undisputed pound-for-pound #1 king in the sport of boxing. Even Crawford's own competition is crowning him and giving him his flowers as the pound-for-pound #1 king. He's the undisputed pound-for-pound #1 king. This is not up for debate. Lately, old media have been pushing this agenda that Inoue is pound-for-pound #1 some way, somehow over Crawford. Well, Inoue himself came out debunking that agenda. He came out completely debunking this narrative by old media that Inoue is pound-for-pound over Crawford by stating, quote, "Terence Crawford is #1 pound-for-pound, and I have reached a position where I'm compared to fighters like him every time I fight. I won Fighter of the Year. But I honestly think #1 pound-for-pound is probably even more important to my boxing career." End of the quote. Well, you gotta respect Inoue for keeping it real, keeping it a buck, more than the media does, and more than the fans do. We only wish the fans and old media kept it a buck like Inoue just did. I mean, this is not up for debate, and Inoue just made it a close case. Crawford is the undisputed pound-for-pound #1 king. When he beat Errol Spence, he was already pound-for-pound #1, and Errol was pound-for-pound #2 at the time. And the way Crawford beat Errol Spence, he literally turned Super Saiyan. We have not seen that level of power since Floyd Mayweather himself, TBE. And the word around town is that Crawford is a Saiyan. He's not a human. Bud over-exceeded any expectations. Even then, old media is still trying to discredit him. We also know Crawford was the Fighter of the Year in 2023 since he beat Errol Spence, who was pound-for-pound #2 at the time, and it's also the way he beat him. Bud turned the Fight of the Decade to the ass-whipping of the century. On the other hand, Inoue didn't beat anybody on the pound-for-pound list in 2023 or ever. Don't get me wrong, Inoue is a good fighter. However, he's not pound-for-pound #1, nor was he the Fighter of the Year in 2023. He was a contender for the Fighter of the Year, and the list went as follows as far as the contenders for 2023 for the Fighter of the Year award. #5 was Gervonta. #4 was David Benavidez. #3 was Inoue. #2 was Devin Haney. And #1, who ended up winning the award, is Terence "Bud" Crawford. I already made a video on that exposing the old media agenda. I'm going to leave a link for that video in the comment section below. I also told you guys about how old media main agenda is to stop another Floyd Mayweather from emerging, from becoming the face of boxing, from becoming the face of the sport. Old media have been exhausted seeing the fighters on the coincidental list being the faces of boxing since the sport of boxing began, from the Jack Johnson days till this day. They try to replace them with fighters who have the complexion for the connection to get the ultimate protection. However, the problem with that, this is a one-on-one sport. No matter how much they push these fighters, they still have to go in the ring and fight one-on-one. The ring, that square circle, is the truth teller. You see, old media have been pushing this campaign, an agenda that all of these fighters, from Kovalev to Roman Gonzalez to Gennady Golovkin to Lomachenko to Canelo Alvarez, old media pushed the narrative that all of these guys I just named were pound-for-pound #1 at some point over Crawford the moment Floyd Mayweather retired. The irony of it all, every time they put a fighter over Crawford, that fighter ended up losing at some point. And guess who didn't lose? That's right, Crawford didn't. He's still here today, 40-0, undefeated as the king of the sport. The crazy part about it, old media be making me look like a prophet because I be predicting their next move. As soon as Canelo Alvarez lost to Bivol, I told you guys that they were going to try to push Inoue and Usyk as pound-for-pound #1 over Crawford the moment Crawford became #1 pound-for-pound. I actually made a video on that. I'm going to leave a link for that video in the comment section below as well. Now, when Canelo lost, Crawford obviously got elevated to #1 pound-for-pound, even though Crawford was already the #1 pound-for-pound according to us, new media. Nevertheless, Old Media crowned Crawford as number one pound for pound. When they did that, I told you guys, they were going to try to replace Crawford with Usyk and Inoue as pound for pound number one. And shortly after, that's exactly what Old Media tried to do. Mike Coppinger said Inoue is pound for pound number one over Crawford just because he knocked out a 40-year-old Donaire. And they even tried to push Usyk as pound for pound number one for a short while, till Dubois knocked him out with a body shot and got robbed, because he really knocked out Usyk for like 2 minutes. That's why Usyk faked the low blow, and since he has the complexion for the connection to get the ultimate protection, the referee ended up saving him. On the other hand, when it came to Inoue, Old Media is still desperately trying to push the agenda that Inoue is pound for pound number one over Crawford today. However, ironically, even Inoue himself disagrees with Old Media, where he completely debunked their narratives with his own hands by crowning Crawford as the undisputed pound for pound number one king. This is not up for dispute. There is no dispute, because Inoue himself shut it down. Like Crawford said, this is the Crawford era. Floyd Mayweather passed the torch to Crawford, and the pound for pound number two is Devin Haney. So the moment Crawford retires, the bad news for Old Media is that Devin Haney is knocking on the door as we speak. He's already pound for pound number two, and he's only 25 years old. Therefore, the moment Crawford retires to put an end to the Crawford era, Devin Haney era is going to begin. And that's going to be a long era, since Devin Haney is only 25 years old. Old Media and you fans are going to be hating for quite some time. Like I told you guys before, Old Media biggest nightmare is to see another Floyd Mayweather emerge to become the face of boxing. And that's exactly what's happening to Devin Haney. He's becoming the face of boxing. They can't stop Devin Haney from getting to his destination. He's already becoming the face of boxing with this Ryan Garcia fight on the way. After that, the sky is the limit. Just imagine the top of mega fights Devin is going to be involved in, with the likes of Gervonta Davis, Teofimo Lopez, and Shakur Stevenson, so on and so forth. Devin Haney's dream ended up becoming Old Media and the fans' nightmare. Now they forced to see another like Floyd dominate their favorite fighters for an entire decade. No matter how much they try to roadblock Crawford and Devin Haney, we all know everyone has a plan. But Allah also has a plan, and we all know Allah is the best planner. God is the best planner. With the facts being laid out, drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe below, and to be continued on the next episode of Akhi TV. Peace out. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.